Tarrant County commissioners have officially agreed to a settlement in the case of a baby who died shortly after being born in jail.
The settlement is worth $1.2 million and comes in the midst of a new push for accountability and transparency.
Scoop Jefferson is live in downtown Fort Worth. Scoop, why did one commissioner say taxpayers are paying for the sheriff's department's failures?
Well, today, Chris and Cynthia, the commissioners had to use taxpayer money to make things right. The sheriff is dealing with a lot of backlash stemming from what's happening inside the Tarrant County jail. There is outrage over the death of a veteran this past April, and today there is a large settlement paid out using taxpayer money for a former inmate still dealing with a very emotional loss. Tarrant County commissioners approved a $1.2 million lawsuit settlement Tuesday to Chastity Congias. Congias was an inmate at the Tarrant County jail in 2020 when she gave birth alone in her cell. Her baby passed away.
Whenever she sees birthday parties of children, it triggers her. If she sees a kid's cartoon, it triggers her.
Chastity's family describes her as intellectually disabled. Her baby's death is just one of several issues the sheriff is dealing with these days. He's come under fire after the recent jail death of Anthony Johnson. Sheriff Wayburn finally released video days ago showing one of his officers kneeling on Johnson after a fight during a shakedown. They used pepper spray, but the cause of death is still pending. Because of this case, Wayburn briefed commissioners Tuesday on his plan to implement a critical incident and video disclosure policy.
We're going to be de-escalating today. As I stand here before you today, I promise you there's an officer in the jail getting to yes, de-escalating.
That policy includes special response teams that he says will look less threatening to inmates, particularly those dealing with mental health issues, which he says makes up 60% of his inmates in jail. Commissioners want further change.
I don't think pepper spray has served us well in Tarrant County in that light. Just a new private alternative.
Community groups like the Justice Network of Tarrant County also want further change.
I'm having a hard time squaring what he said, the way he presented it, the de-escalation and all that, with the mission statement of his department, which says that they're there to protect.
Although Wayburn fired 2 officers in connection with Johnson's jail death, commissioners could find themselves voting again on yet another huge settlement. In Fort Worth, I'm Scoop Jefferson.
That case is one of a series of controversial deaths that have put the jail and the sheriff under the spotlight. Investigative reporter Tanya Iser is here to discuss her investigation, which airs tonight at 10. And you looked into the deaths of 3 inmates.
That's right. We looked into the deaths of 3 inmates who died of dehydration-related causes. And so we found a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, aside from the lack of water, you're saying.
Yeah, so in each of these cases, they were all mentally ill. Each of them, and the mental illness was documented. There was no doubt. It was all in the jail records when they were booked in, and they were all seen by MHMR workers throughout their stay in jail. And they each exhibited characteristics that were indicative of being mentally ill during their time in jail.
Okay, so you're saying this was all documented, so there were clear indications that these inmates suffered from mental illness.
Oh, there's no doubt. And they were all under special supervision in a part of the jail, where they house mentally ill inmates. So it was there just wasn't a doubt about what these inmates suffered from. In each of the inmates, they were frequently described as being not wearing clothing, sleeping on the floor, saying things that didn't make sense. One of them, kept talking about how she was like, being held hostage and people wanted to assassinate her. So I mean, there was no doubt in this case.
How did the jail respond in terms of taking responsibility?
Well, the jail's position is that they have in each cell a water fountain. It's a combination water fountain and sink and toilet. And their position is that the inmates, that the prisoners can walk over and just drink water. But if you're mentally ill, the experts tell us, you might think that your water or your food is contaminated, and the experts tell us, look, you need to be monitoring this. And I don't know what the solution is, right? But something, clearly when you've had 3 deaths, 3 dehydration-related deaths, there needs to be some changes.
Absolutely. Our thanks to you, Tanya, and we look forward to your investigation tonight at 10.
Yeah, speaking of the bigger picture, since Sheriff Wayburn took office 7 years ago, more than 60 people have died in the Tarrant County Jail, and now some critics are asking him to resign. We'll share some of the community's concerns coming up tonight at 6.